was just on Chimoge's comments. I gave you the greatest man alive. Now we have Amadioha, Iwe, Anchor, Saturn, Abu Mamadioha. Yes, let's walk. Interesting. All right, anyway, welcome everyone. Once again, thank you to my returning viewers. For those of you who are new, I'm not going to do the full introduction just because I feel like I've been here a lot, but I'll do the partial one. My name is Chimoge. My government name is Chimoge Chijoke Ibe. I was born in Washington, D.C. I currently live in Atlanta, Georgia. My matrilineal village is Ebemo Hafia, which is in West Africa, and the reference point village for my patrilineage is Algi Urata, which is also in West Africa, north of the sea, south of Sahara, and west of Central Africa. Give me a second. Yeah, okay. Anyway, let me kneel down here. Just waving something. Anyway, um, let me also give two facts about me. Um, One, the last time I got my height measured, it came out to 5'6.5". And I'm just gonna leave that there. I know there are other height people out there. Two, what's another fact about me? Two, I do not like climbing up mountains. That's kind of a weird one. I've never really done it. But yeah, I guess let me say it like this. I think sometimes when I think about it, and I've registered a viewer, thank you very much. Every view is a blessing. Sometimes when I think about it, I think we have different stereotypes of people who like nature. And I don't think I fit into any of them. One stereotype is someone who's always, um, I don't know what to call it. Let's say someone who is always in either a coniferous tree forest, like Christmas tree type things, or like pine trees, or deciduous tree forest, like where they lose all the leaves in winter, and then they're climbing up mountains. That's not me. Let me go for a walk. My ancestors are talking to me. Give me a second. Need to get my moving stool. Anyway, forgive me. I've pained my left foot. It's been a long term problem. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'll be honest. I'm watching some people walk their dogs. Let me walk. Lord have mercy. Aka ooh. Anyway, yeah, I gave that fact. Basically, one, I like warmer environments more. like I live in the U.S., so yeah, like there's deciduous trees around where I live. Um, it just Should I even describe what I'm saying? Well, that's a whole nother live stream. My ancestors are telling me to move past it. Basically, I'm not the guy who's gonna hike up the mountain and then videotape the bear. Okay, the bear is one of my being animals, but I'm not about being up in my being animals business. And let me say that because the rest of them, it's stuff like El Tigre, right? The animal you call the tiger. Fun fact: any version of that you can call Kalakana. Okay, apparently that's the animal of the bigger Kalakana. Anyway, um, the eagle, the cat, the animal you call the jaguar. You know, just anything you would call a crocodile, that kind of thing. Um, so this is the other thing. I'm the head of the God of Thunder. All those animals are part of the God of Thunder, but they have free will. And think about it like this: our category of life is part of the God of Thunder, and I'm always talking about crime. You see what I'm saying? So if there's crime in my own category of life, and you could literally call us a Madioha, I'm not about to go swimming in the Nile. Let me move. Abu Madoka Sobiarazoka. Let me pick this up. Anyway, what am I doing today? 10 viewers on screen. Thank you very much. 10 is the number of Amadio as well as the number of Ahu. Ahu. In modern day usage in English, Ahu is used to mean body. My elders tell me like we can't totally translate it. You can call it the slab. Okay, you can translate it, but we don't fully understand the concept. It's like, for example, what we call meat is a subset of Ahu, right? And I'll leave it at that. I think also another thing, Ahuike, which is like Ahu and strength together. That means health. So you kind of get an idea of what it is. Anyway, what am I doing today? I'm going to be planning out two Hand of Gods. The first, where I'm going to be talking about Dr. Umar Johnson's school. Let me write that one up here. Let's just call it FDMG. Again, I mentioned this last time. I got the ideas in spirit. Let's put them into a Quensu because it's necessary. And then the second one, I'm going to be talking about school in general. Yes, those will be two separate Hand of Gods. Hands of God. That'll be over in Chimoge's comments. So let's start with, so for each of these, I'm going to come up with 4 problems with them and then the corresponding solution. And I want to get a move on because I do want to get some food. Don't worry, I had food like a couple hours ago. It's just there's something else I want. All right, 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 all right. I'll boom. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. I'll boom. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. I'll boom. All right. He, hey, ha, ha. I boom cat all me all za. I boom call ma zirizeza. I boom a muddy yo honey way ya. I boom a muddy yo hazizeza. I boom a muddy yo hamadi yo hamo. Also, I'll just get it out of the way. I think there's a weird stereotype, to some extent it's internal, that black people do not like animals and or do not like nature. Uh, Let me just say 2 things. One, if you really respected animals, you wouldn't own them, okay? Like that creature was not designed to be on your couch, okay? 2, there are many ways to like something. Some are of this world and some are not. So, uh, we have to look at some of the stereotypes we have of, I'll just say it, white individuals and how they like animals. Is it necessary to go up to the animal and touch it? Anyway, I'm just getting that out of the way. Yeah, it is what it is. Also, I'll just say this in terms of the internal stereotype. I see this as well. Let me not get too deep into it. Let me just do two extensions on the internal stereotype. One, I think the internal stereotype is that a lot of black people say we're good because we don't like animals, and that manifests as us harming the animal. I'll leave it at that. That's nonsense. Two, I think Christianity's done a number on people. They think that one, God gave us dominion over the animals, and two, that means that we can destroy them at will. That is not a healthy thought. And I'll go ahead and say this implicitly. If I say it's not a healthy thought, it is not African culture. And let me leave it at that. Abu Mamadiu, my ancestors are holding me up. Abu Mamadiu Madiu he hey ha ha. I said, oh, I'm slipping today. Abu Mamadiu he hey ha ha. Abu Mamadiu ha he hey ha ha. Abu Mamadiu Madiu he hey ha ha. Abu Mamadiu Madiu he hey ha ha. Amadiu ha ni me ya. And again, these are internal stereotypes. I'm not saying that all black people believe that. It's just unfortunately a common trend and belief I've witnessed. Anyway, let's move on. Abu Mamadi Umadi he ha. Abu Mamadi Umadi he ha. Abu Mamadi Umadi he ha. All right, school. Escuela. Okay. Abu Mamadi Umadi he ha. Abu Mamadi Umadi he ha. Abu Mamadi Umadi he ha. Amariuha ne biaoza, Amariuha koma oza, Abum ka ome oza, Abum ka boa boa, Abum ka ka, Abum Amariu Mariu he Abum Amariuha ni me, Amariuha, Amariuha kanwa, Amariuha. Amadiuha bobo bobe, Abu Mamadiuha paw paw. Let me get a tissue. But before that, let me say, what's the first problem with school? Let's see how much it lines up with what I said yesterday. But I'm just gonna go. It overworks children. Yes, overworks kids. Abu Mamadi Mamadi he hey ha ha. 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 Abu Cat all me all saw. Abu Cat over. Abu Cat all. Amadioha. Amadioha. Abumo Saberua Saberua do. Okay, first. So, school overworks the kids. Second problem. Um, it causes, let's say overall it's too sedentary, because I want to look at teachers as well. Let's just say it is sedentary. Slash too much seating. I guess the teacher can stand, but after a while, why aren't you running? Why are you running? Alright, let's stay focused. That was a reference to Nollywood. No, I'm not a fan of Nollywood. I just laugh at it. uh, at least pre 2015. After 2015, at least the ones I've seen were better. No, I don't watch it regularly. It's just stuff has happened. Anyway, Abu Mamadi Madi he hey ha. 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 Ha ha ha. Abu Mamadi Madi he hey ha. Abu Mamadi Madi he hey ha. Abu Mamadi Madi Abu Mamadi Madi he hey ha. All right. So it overworks kids, too sedentary. Um, I'll just say it deprives kids of sunlight, honestly. Maybe I'll make them all blue, because I'll write the problems all in blue and the solutions will be black. Yes. Then we'll have Alamadioha, blue and black. Yeah, so it deprives the kids, which is an exalted term. Interesting. Uh, what's the fourth one? It's my battery light here. I just saw 1616. 16 is the number of Ulaw, which is home and or comfort. Yes, I know most people in Igbo today would say it just means home or house. Just think about it. You should be comfortable in your home. What if it's the same thing? And then I say house should be called Obulaw. And no, I'm not going to translate it because the people I'm talking to should not even bat an eye. It's pretty bootleg to call all these things Ulaw. The structure is Ulaw. The land you live on is Ulaw. The country you live on is Ulaw. Well, and let me move. What do you hear? Kamalu kake, abu kamalu amadio ha, kamalu amajibu amadio ha, abu amadio and kishe, ekejike, abru namboa, abru omnike, abru doom tea, abu amadio ha. All right, just reframing here. Ancestors want to get to the point. Let's see. What's the fourth problem with school overall? And then I'll probably move because the battery's getting low. But yeah, anyway, I was saying 16 is the number of Ulaw, one of the 49 things. The love of her life, yes, Ulaw, home or comfort, is a woman. The love of her life is Obusi, stopping the devil most exactly. Also, endless. You can think about it, they go together. That guy is always running around and fainting, and then he needs someone to comfort him. So, they go together. Anyway, yeah, 16 is the number of Ulaw. I saw two 16s. That's Ula Madia. What is that? Einen. Oshun. Yes. Numerology. Mathematics. Abu Mathematics. I'm Mad Max. I'm Mad Max. Row row. I be Mad Max. Row row. All right. Sedentary. Too much seating. Oh, it devalues them because it tells them they're bad. Right. That one. Yeah. So those are the four big problems. Abumo paruku shuku. Abumo paruku shuku inku. Abumo paruku shuku wanamuku. Abumo paruku lua. Abumo kumajua. Abumo kuhikeka. Abumo kumajia also. Abumo kuhuka. Abu mama, amarama. Let me just plug all this stuff. Okay, so these are the problems. School overworks kids. It's too sedentary. It deprives kids of sunlight, and it devalues kids by telling them that they're bad. Okay, like implicitly, if you're giving people grades and then just emphasizing their importance. If someone gets a bad grade, they're bad. Does it make sense to emphasize that much to a child? No, really, it just doesn't. Like, what does it mean if someone doesn't understand math at 12? Will they never understand it? And even what's going on? What if the child is tired? Shouldn't they sleep? Um. Anyway, okay. Solution one: overworks kids. How do we? Because again, it's not even just I'll keep it at this angle. It's not even just the schoolwork. You have to look at out of class things. I'll add in sports, kind of, but really, children should be playing sports. It's just the way it's done in school. It ends up being stressful because they don't have leeway to go in and out of the sports teams. And then on top of that, um, that they get let's just say overcoached. I'll just leave it at that. It's too much. It doesn't work properly. But again, they should be playing sports. That's the best way to get quote unquote exercise. Anyway, so what's the solution to the overwork? Let's just say attendance is okay. I'll say it like this: because this is a reform measure. This is not the full WEPU. I'm not making everything perfect. Why? Because I need to give people intermediary measures while I also figure out and then also begin talking about what an ideal society should look like, right? Yes, I'm carving up the world. Just as a side note, um, I'll just say it quickly. Do I think that as soon as I say something, the world will change? No. But is there value to my word? Obviously. So I'm saying these things because I think there's value. Yes, I have a lot of confidence, or whatever that word concept really correlates to. You get what I mean? Because I think there's this trend in society of saying that unless you're literally in the White House, you can't comment on anything. Let me just. And no, I'm not planning on running for office. It's not for me. Anyway, let me anyway. Um so what's the solution I'm proposing to the overwork problem? Make class attendance optional. Attendance to the school should be mandatory, but class attendance should be optional. What do I mean? Children should be demanded to, and really you're demanding their parents make sure they do this. Children should be demanded to enter the school premises, whatever that is. And I'm saying premises for a reason. I might just jump to the third one. But they should be demanded to enter the school premises, but they should not be forced to attend classes. And that's useful because then you can actually gauge children's desire to engage with the education system. And then you can use that for other purposes. And I'll leave it at that. And this way, if someone doesn't want to attend the class, they won't overwork themselves. And I just want to say this: if someone is alive and they're growing, they will learn things. So there's no way that someone will reach 18 and they will have no idea how to operate in society. That is crazy to think that's how things work. They will know how to operate. And let me just say this: school is really designed to. Let me just say it like this: school is, in theory, and I'll leave it like that, in theory, designed to train the leaders of society. Most people in society will not be leaders. Therefore, you shouldn't really expect most of the children to take advantage of everything the school is telling them to do. And I'll leave it like that. Is everyone going to be president? So make class attendance optional, and then parentheses, school premises attendance is still mandatory. And then obviously, if someone's on the premises of the school, they can take advantage of things like food. I mean, if you have books out, they can read them at will, things like that. And this is another thing. I think people who are obsessed with forcing kids to do things have stereotypes about what kids will do if you do not literally force them to walk, or force them to even get out of bed every morning. What kind of person, even if they're forced to stay somewhere, which again is not necessarily ideal, and I'll leave it like that, is literally not going to do anything? So you put out 1,000 books, the average person will not decide on their own to look at them. You have lectures on TV, the average person will not decide to look at some of the lectures. What are you really saying? Do you think they're people? We really have to look at some of the stereotypes that people spew about kids, and I'll leave that out there. Okay. Anyway, um, let's do the deprived kids of sunlight one. Let's just Here we go. How am I gonna reform? Hmm. How do I get? Because I really want to say just make the school outdoors and then have a tarp. So like, if it starts raining, just put up the tarp. Um, I mean, you could get like some big movable tent, and then at some point maybe just be like, all right, if it's like really pouring so much you can't get the tarp up, just school is canceled. I mean, we already have snow days. You could have a rain day. I mean, it goes without saying if it's snowing, that probably shouldn't be at school, like to a significant extent. Uh, but then the way most school buildings are built, hmm, oh Lord. And then anytime you try and do a renovation at a school, well, let's just make it in order to make sure the kids get sunlight. Um, I'm just gonna say this. Some people might think it's frivolous, but literally, like you're in that room. There's just one window. Generally speaking, I mean that's not good now. You need sunlight. It's very basic. There are a lot of very basic things people don't do in the world today. Anyway, um, let's just say make every other class mandatory outside. Every other class at least. Because I'll say this, I was a good student, but recess was my favorite class. Yeah, I wish they recorded that recess, man. I was balling out there. Yeah. All right. Anyway, um, but yeah, you need sunlight. Let's see. The sedentary one is easy. Just do not force kids to sit. Like they should be able to walk around. Let's say allow children to have full range of motion. Because again, I'm really going to harp on that one. For most of my life, I had very bad digestive issues and I also call them lower back issues. And a big part of that was a lot of seating. And most of the seating was, well, uh, here we go, that home life. A lot of the seating was school. I was in school so much sitting. I had a lot of bowel issues, a lot of digestive issues, plagued me until really a couple years ago. Now I'm in a different place with that. And part of it is just I move a lot more. Like I'm sitting now, but you saw me earlier, I was standing, I go for a walk. I mean, really, you know, just sitting out there anyway. So, yeah. And we just know it's not good to be sedentary. It's not good. So just let kids move. Like a child can listen to you and move. And I'll leave it at that. Also, I'll say this. It was rare in any level of school I've been in. I'll say even in college. Well, did I get worse in college? let's take college out of it. College is weird, but it was rare in any level of school I was at, K through 12, for me to literally just be staring at the teacher and listening. And I was a straight A student. I was usually doodling or like something. You know, they didn't let me walk around, but oftentimes I was doodling. Um, I mean, I would snick with my classmates every now and then. I didn't do that too much. I would look outside, but then I'd be listening and paying attention the whole time, you know. So, yeah, it's just not necessary to be staring at the teacher or even staring at the book all day. I mean, yeah, anyway. Yeah. And again, this will dovetail with the class attendance being optional. And then how are we going to tie this in together? Big question you're all probably having. How will the grading work? This is the thing. Grading is really not necessary if you emphasize its importance for life. It just not. It's just not. Let me say it like this. Children could get A's on a test, and after they walk out of the room, they don't remember what on earth they were doing. Someone could fail a test and be able to give the lecture. So I'm not going to touch the whole test not test thing, grade not grade thing. All I'm going to say is this: children should not be, how do I want to say it? No, it's simple. Um, all children should graduate school no matter what their grades were. The caveat to this is that people who get good grades will just simply get accolades for that, and that's it. And then when kids go out into the world, their accolades or lack thereof will speak for them, and that's it. But I want to emphasize even if someone doesn't get accolades in school, they should be able to do well in life. That is just one thing. There's no such thing as a proper person who will get accolades in everything. And I'll leave it at that. So let's just say everyone graduate. And then to get specific, people always talk about jobs, right? And again, I do not like the way people throw that word around, okay? Job this, get a job, no. Very disrespectful line of thinking. But if you look at it from the perspective of an employer, if an employer sets out to hire the best student, which is really not always true, but if an employer sets out to hire the best student, all they need to know is who the best student was. You don't need to fail the bad student, as in, you don't need to kick the bad student out of school. Because really, the whole grades thing becomes a matter of undu mabu ongo, okay, life or perish, because you tell people things like you'll be held back and or you'll be kicked out of school. Not necessary. Just note what happened and go on. And then once they're an adult, they can assess their record and other people can assess their own record. There is no point in messing up the child's life, because really what you've done is you've thrown them out of their environment. And usually it's an environment they didn't even want to be in the first place. It's just they've acclimated to it, which is another conversation. We're making people acclimate to things they didn't choose. But nonetheless, once someone is acclimated to something, they should not be forced out of it willy nilly. So you force a child out of their environment willy nilly, or you raise the specter of that. That is immoral. That's not appropriate. It's not necessary. Someone could get straight F's, let them graduate with their class, and then when they go out into the world, people will just know, okay, he got straight F's in school. They'll take that into account and whatever, whatever. That's all it is. You don't need to kick him out of the school. And then I also want to say this. If a child is, say, hurting other children, that is a completely different matter. We shouldn't put people who get bad grades in the same category as people who hurt other people. And I also want to add this. I went to school with some ruffians throughout my life. Some of those ruffians were doing well in school, as in they got good grades. And implicitly, if I tell you I went to relatively competitive schools, some of those ruffians were already above average students before I even met them. A straight A student can be a ruffian, and someone who's about to fail can be a nice person. They're not the same thing. This stereotype that everyone who's bad is Elle, and this is what I mean. Elle is the only bad person who has literally done everything bad. He got straight F's, he was in fights, he did this, he did that. That is Elle. That is the father of evil. If you think the father of evil is common, you've spent too much time looking into Eu. Hapu. Anyway. Okay, anyway. So that's the general school piece. The problems are in blue and the solutions are in black. Let me even make that a note for myself. All right. Do I want to still do the Umar thing? Let me just do it real quick, even though I'm hungry. Again, for my audience's sake, please, if you want to eat, eat. It's just for me, myself, right now. I'm working out the balance between going to get food right away and doing something before I go to eat, then eating. Because one, I'm eating faster than I used to eat, just because I've been adjusted what I eat and how I think about eating. Eating is no longer an activity for me, at least to the extent I can control it, which is a large extent. Eating is just something that happens while I'm doing other things, right? And then basically, I just find that when I just eat, especially if it took something for me to get the food, say I had to go somewhere, I had to order it, whatever, I just feel off. Because it's like whenever I'm energized enough to eat, I also want to work. It's just how I'm wired, at least as I'm finding so far. Again, I'm growing and learning more about myself. So that's why I'm doing this. But I just want to put out this disclaimer because I don't want to accidentally encourage anyone to not eat or something like that. Anyway. Okay. So, FDMG. Let's do the same thing. The problems will be in blue. I'm gonna keep spelling. No, that's my. So, for those of you who are not familiar, FDMG stands for the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. Frederick Douglass Marcus. Is that acronym even as good as it could be? Why not call it TFDMG? Would that be better? Whatever. Anyway, that is the acronym. It refers to the public speaker and school psychologist, and I guess general public figure, Dr. Umar Johnson's. I'll say proposed because it hasn't opened yet. Like they're not students going to it, but he might say otherwise, and I'll get into that in a second. His proposed school for boys in Delaware, and he wants it to be a Pan African school. Let me first comment on the idea of a Pan African boys' school. I'll just go ahead and say it. Even though there are some organizations in Africa that are all male and or all men, and I'll just say it like that because that's not exactly the same thing, but there's a heavy correlation, especially because of, unfortunately, the crude way in which people think in the world today, but I'll leave it at that. Even though there's some of those Obakonwoke in Africa today, that is not an African cultural concept, and this is what I'm saying. People lie and shut their eyes like crazy. People think just because they saw someone in a long gown doing it and it was happening before they were born in 1980, that is African culture if a black person told them or whatever. No. Also, our category of life has been on this planet for a long time. Black people have been around for a long time. What does it mean if something existed 3,000 years ago? That is a tiny minority of our existence. Things have been broken, as in, we've had elaboru from white people for a long time, for thousands, tens of thousands of years, really longer. So do not think that you're going to get physical records of the first time white people, quote unquote, messed up African culture. And I'll just leave it at that. So I don't want to hear about the people who say that this group of men, they produced the Dibia who showed you the secret document that proves that, they're a son of the soil or whatever. No, Tufiakwa. That is just not an African concept. Why? African culture, and I'm speaking very crudely, but I'm doing this to get a message across. African culture is about men and women working together. Groups of all men are the antithesis of that. I've never seen a record of a group of all men that was not very chauvinistic, and I'll just use that term. And there is too much information to back up what I'm saying for me to even go into the details. So that's just not a thing. So already, if you're talking about, I want this school to be Pan African, and you say it's all boys, imere ele, and let me walk. So that's point one. And I'll circle back to this in a bit. But when judging Dr. Umar's school before, I was judging it relative to the standard of society. Because there's so many all boys schools, I didn't necessarily throw it out immediately upon hearing that. And I'll go into why in a second, right? So that's one. All boys, bad. Two, school. And this is where Abu Mamadioha, Amarama, Abu Mamadioha, Nuanka, Abu Mamadioha, Bob. You see, can someone give me a very concrete translation for the word school into an African language? I know in modern Igbo, people might call it Olakoko. Why is that not library? Explain to me. There is just no evidence that school was a way Africans, and I'm saying this to be crude, Africans educated their children before the explosion of El Laberu into the world. And I'm just going to leave it at that. You know what I mean? And I'll just leave it at that. So, Pan African all boys school. Is that not nonsense? So, already, very questionable project. The problem is the standard in society is so bad, I had to kind of put that to the side because people, and I'll just say people in general shut their eyes to obvious things and just tell brazen lies. So much so that people push black children to save their race and blackness in general by doing well in school. And they do that openly. That is an act of war. That's nonsense. And on top of that, we have many groups of all men who claim to be pro black. And they spend a lot of time attacking women. So let me walk. And again, I'll just also add this, but I won't go into this too much. Have I been quote unquote part of an all male group before? Unfortunately, yes. Was it ever my choice? No. There are two ways. One, if I was put into it before the age of 16, and let me just be polite in saying that, because in this society, if it happened before I was 18, really you shouldn't be looking at me. But let's be generous, say before the age of 16. If I was put into it before the age of 16, that's not me. Two, if I came into a place and there was a culture that was hard for me to get around, that is not me. And I'll explain what I mean. If there was a culture of setting up events, for example, and saying the all boys group put this event on, and to go to it, you have to be part of the all boys group. And I just went to the event and said, sure, I'm part of the group. That is not on me, especially if that event had some value and there was not anything else going on. And I'll walk. And I'll also add this. You see, I've never liked all male environments. I've never liked all male groups. But at the same time, I hesitate before I say something's categorically bad because I don't like it. And I'm a philosopher. I'm not a philosopher like that, but I can philosophize. You get what I'm saying? So when I see so many other people saying I like all male groups, my beginning thought was, okay, that's not for me. That's not something I engage in when I have full control over my life. But perhaps it has some value in some form. So my position has not always been just because the group is all male, it should be disbanded or whatever. But that was an intellectual position. My heart is running. Anyway, the point is, I just want to make sure that both people who've known me before and new people who might have heard something or got a certain perception of me or whatever, based on something they've heard or picked up on, understand me clearly. I'm not a flip flopper, and I'm not a hypocrite. It's just when evil's everywhere in the world, sometimes when you're walking, you'll end up with mud on your shoe. That doesn't mean you're a pig. Okay, let me go. Anyway, what's the point I'm making? I think I've made my point. Uh, the Umar school sounded dubious always. At the same time, the standard of operation in the world was so low, I said, you know what? It's possible for a dubious thing to make us less bad. So I've always said the jury was out until recently, as in the last couple years. What was I thinking? I was thinking that if he at least presented it up to the common standard or greater, had it operational, and was teaching people stuff that at least seemed superficially black, I would say, okay. And I'm just wording it like that to be quick. I would say, okay, it's a net positive or something like that, because at least it looks better than most schools. Okay. One, you have to know me. Just because I saw a guy on TV doesn't mean uh I'm a devotee. You see what I'm saying? So like I wasn't up late at night debating what Umar should do with the school. You get what I'm saying? I just said, well, because I'll be honest, I'm not let me just talk to my ancestors for a second. I'm very disappointed in most people in the world today. Okay, I want us to be better. I know until let me be honest. I don't like saying it like this, but my ancestors are forcing me to. I know intellectually that we can do better. It's just my heart. My heart is that my heart? Let me just say, uh, my hope for it is not that high. Or what am I saying? Well, let me not put the sentence like that. Long story short, I feel like it's an uphill battle. So when I see figures in the distance, I analyze them. My heart is not necessarily with them. I'll just leave it like that. I hope you know what I mean. So, you know, the Umar school thing was not the first thing I was looking at. My thing was just what's the discourse around him and what is he saying? And then I thought, okay, if the school goes up, it'll look a certain way. That'll be a net positive, and then I'm doing other things in my life. It occurs to me now that a lot of other people are way more invested in Umar than me. One. Two, around like 2022, 2023, he started talking a lot worse. So at that point, I said, let me look into it more and be more critical. And then I'll be honest, my ancestors have gotten into me and let me walk. Anyway, what's the point? Long story short, because of all that, and then just other fiascos I've talked about related to the school, I've just decided to that one, it is just an overall bad thing, and two, I've decided to just come out and say it. Caveat to this: Umar had so many bad critics before me, and I'll just say before me because at least publicly, I haven't heard too many good criticisms of him. Okay, just because someone's bad doesn't mean you criticize them well. But he had so many bad critics that I was really hesitant to weigh in because at some point it's still not useful to be wrong when criticizing someone. Okay. Anyway, so let's look at the school itself. Um, I'm gonna point out four problems with the school and then give solutions for each. Um, but I want to emphasize one thing. I am not I'm not praying for the failure of his project. I'll say it like this. I'm literally just pointing it out, one, so that the public knows what the truth is about it, and two, so that if possible, it can be improved. I'm not a hater, and I'll leave it at that. Okay. All right. Let's just get into it. Kabrinam no go. Did I title this "Make All Boys Schools Illegal"? I think I did. Again, that one's easy. I'm reforming school. I'm reforming Umar's school, but all boys school. Just merge it with the sister school. What if it doesn't have a sister school? Have I seen an all boys school without a sister school? I actually didn't consider that. Wow. What if it doesn't have a sister school? Ooh. You know, that's another thing with Umar's project. Why would you start with building the all boys school? Why would first? Why can't he start them at the same time? Another thing. Will he ever build the all girls school? Ugh. I mean, I'm not gonna think if it doesn't have an all. If it doesn't have, I mean, if it doesn't have a sister school, it should be shut down now. Oh wow. He's not just building the sister school at the same time. Also, I'll go into this. His public reasoning, I don't know what he's doing in private now. His public reasoning for making the all boys school is that just let me not. I'm not gonna repeat his exact logic actually because it was foul. Um, Let me just be crude. I'm not gonna repeat the exact logic because it was foul. He just said that due to the targeting of black men in society and black boys in the school system, he needed to build that one first. Part of the reasoning was signification. I'll just say two things. One, men do not do well in all male environments. Men like that's just not good. They say iron sharpens iron. If iron gets too sharp, is it useful? You know what I mean? Ugh. Let me just say I've made my point there. Men do not do well in all male environments, so that's not good. Two, I mean this. Forgive me. Let me just say it. Um, I'm just gonna give this as a preface. Anytime two groups of people are different, there will be some difference in what they're going through if there is suffering, right? At the same time, um, when you're looking at men and women in society, and even black men and black women, women in general and black women as well, if you want to look at them specifically, are also going through things in society and in the school system. And I'll just add something in from personal experience. When I was growing up, yes, the schools I went to were not typical, but they're still schools. And I talked to people who went to more typical schools, okay. When I was growing up, I didn't get the sense that school was treating women better. So, and I'll just cut to the chase. I don't want to do a comparison right now. That's very complicated. But at some point, if you're a goal oriented person, you want to get rid of evil. As soon as you see that there's a lot of suffering being handed out to women and black women specifically in society, I think that's enough to just say, let's just do something to help, and or let's just get rid of the evil, right? So for Umar to wake up and say, let's just do the boys' school, and then every once in a while talk about a possible girls' school as an additional ad, that is sacrilege. I'm sorry, that is sacrilege. Again, why did I not give a strong opinion on the sacrilege before? Because there is so much other sacrilege in society that, because his sacrilege had not yet been fully born, I thought maybe by the time it was born, it could be something. And I'll just leave it at that and I'll walk. I'll just say it. I'm just kind of because see, this is something I'll say. Just because I've seen something doesn't mean I looked at everything. Because at some point, when it's clear what something is overall, or it's clear that I can't act on it yet, I just don't look at everything. But when I look at this, the fact that he is building the boys' school first is really a big cause for concern. And I'll leave it at that. Because that just makes it way harder to reform. So let me actually just make that point one. The problem, let me just do something interesting with Umar School. Let me assess it as it is. It's still in progress, okay? He's saying it's done, he's saying it's gonna open. Students aren't there yet, it's in progress. So, because it's in progress, let's say as it stands, the boys' school is more ready than the women's school. So that's a big problem. That's problem one. And let me just do the solution at the same time. Just Umar should pause work on the boys' school and just rapidly create the girls' school. uh, you know what is that? Oh my goodness, the ancestors are working. I'm just gonna say it. I think that's part of why it hasn't opened. I think the ancestor just said, And I'm gonna say this: we should not. There's absolutely nothing wrong with praying to your ancestors. Okay, that is fine. All right. Or let me say it like this: if you're praying without calling in your ancestors, that's bad. At the same time, you should be calling in your ancestors, and then you can go up the chain well, let me not even say it like that. It's obvious. Call in your ancestors. Do not just call in the ancestors. What is the ancestors? You know, in Rinri have ancestors too. Fish have ancestors. Okay, okay, let's just move. So, um, Umar, uh, I don't even know what I was writing here. Should pause work on the boys' school and just go full, just and only work on the women's school. And let me just move. Um, you know what? I get it now. Whenever I take these extended pauses, I think my ancestors are telling me one, I have to pay more attention to certain things I don't like looking at. I'll be honest, I don't like looking at brazen stupidity, and I'll leave it at that. Two, they're also telling me that the thing I think will take a long time, I should just move forward on quickly. Um, Also, I'll be honest. Do you think they're only talking to me about the topics you see here? They're getting in on my personal things now. They're layering in the messages. These are real people now. Anyway, let's move. So one, so the problem is the boys' school is more ready than the women's school. Umar should pause work on the boys' school and only work on the women's school. Let's let the ancestors speak because they're taking the mic. You see, everyone's relationship with the ancestors is different. Everyone's internal um spiritual structure is different. The way mine works is I'm like a big mic. That doesn't mean that I don't have my own mind or anything, but you know my ancestors can very easily just take the mic. You see what I'm saying? So when they're taking the mic, I'm trying to go in one direction. I'm just saying let me focus on the small things here cuz let me walk. All right, let's move. Two, what's the next problem? The problem that it's an that so let me. I called this FDMG. Let's he calls the all girls and it's not ready yet. The Amy Douglas, and forgive me, I don't remember the other woman's name, but it's the wife of the late Marcus Garvey. Um, I think Anna Garvey School. Let's just call it the girls' school. I'm sorry. Let me just stop listening to my ancestors and have them talk. Sometimes they be getting into things, and I'm like, I'm still on screen. No, I'm not gonna secularize that one. Anyway, um, let's just say it like this. Problem two: he's divided the genders. Slash, he's made it all boys. And really, I'm gonna put more emphasis on he's made it all boys because he's really pushed the all boys one forward. See, this is an interesting one. And then what's the solution? Just go co-ed. Just go co-ed. Co-ed. All right, what's problem three? Ooh, this is different than yesterday. Let's just go. Um, problem three. Let me go on off of what I saw in the video he posted of it most recently, where he was cleaning off classic desks in that classroom. Let's just say it will be sedentary. Yeah, I'll be honest. I think if he started working on the all girls school, the progress would be different. Anyway, it will be sedentary. Solution. Um, Let me go off what I saw. Replace the desks with beanies. That way, because if you have beanies for kids to sit on, they can get up and down and then they can move. So it's just a different way of saying it. Let's say beanies and floor mats. That's bean bags, whatever you want to call it. Let's walk. All right. What's the fourth problem with Umar's school? I'll go off of what I saw there. Class size. Yes, small class size. He said he wants to limit the class size to 20. Harala. And the solution is Oha. Make the class sizes minimum 1,000. Yeah. Solution is Oha. 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 Oha slash Oha slash okra. Another word for the people, my language is okra. Oha. Yes, that plant is a manifestation of it. I tend to just call it Oha. Oh, and the class sizes should be minimum 1,000, and they should be at least more than half women. So I guess in this case, girls, whatever. leave it at that. Anyway, that's my proposed reform of Umar School, and then all boys schools in general. Just integrate with the sister school, and if there's no sister school, just close it down. I can't even process that. Um, anyway, here's the solution. Thank you very much. I'll be out of here. I need to eat, and I feel satisfied, so I've solved that issue. The work thing. Anyway, please buy my art, buy my merchandise, subscribe on Patreon, and there are other places you can subscribe as well. And these are subscriptions for benefits. Just I always emphasize the Patreon because that's the most comprehensive subscription. And then you can donate. You can donate on PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App. Thank you very much. See you next time.